Hi, how's it going? Me? I'm doing pretty good. I'm coming at you with a bit of a cozy setup tonight, I guess, with a very not cozy topic to discuss. Now, everyone and your mother has heard about the recent MrBeast, Ava Tyson controversy, accusations, leaks, everything, okay? And while this rabbit hole continues to get insanely just all over the place, okay? I mean, we've got, initial accusations, we've got people coming out making claims, we've got, what is it, MrBeast Discord, potentially, or Ava Tyson's Discord getting leaked. We got a lot to unpack. And I'm gonna start with the most recent development for me, which were, of the nature of sexual. These accusations come from the user Muskina. I have no context for who this is, but there will be a little bit of context laid out. I was sexually assaulted by Ava Tyson, and here's my story. For context, Ava and I are both adults and met each other as adults. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timelines on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. Alleged screenshot of Chris at the time messaging Muskina. You're a fucking inspiration and you rock. Aw, that's a good start. Hey, you are too. Thank you so much. Also, you look incredible. How long have you been on HRT? Since like February. Thank you so much. This isn't a digitally altered photo. This is Android's high contrast mode. I already knew that. Guess why? Guess why? He's an iPhone user, and I really like to know my enemies. We started messaging each other every day through Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing and that she was planning on getting HRT soon to transition herself. As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed by emotions with being trusted with this secret and information that I knew would be huge news. I find it weird that she included this, but fair enough. As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I had been through so much. Eventually, we talked about me potentially working for MrBeast, and she told me that she was sure she could get me in a video. This is the conversation with the time Chris. Also, just gonna throw this out there. Please let me know if you guys are ever hiring for any type of work. I used to work as a floor manager at the #1 comedy club in Boston, so I'm comfortable around famous people and celebrities. I've worked mostly miserable jobs, sometimes working over 70 hours a week and still struggling to get by/transition. I've even worked as a chimney sweeper, risking my life for $15 an hour. So I mean it when I say I will literally do anything you guys ask of me. Jesus. I'm not sure where you guys are based out of nowadays, but I would drive there tonight for a job if asked. My number is blank if you want to reach me, and I have a resume available you'd like me to send one over. Okay, that's a lot. So okay, it's been established that at the time this person at least is claiming that basically they were struggling more or less financially. They put up with a lot, and also kind of making it clear that they're used to interacting with people of clout or wealth or whatever, which is it's a fascinating thing to bring up, right? Like, she's basically establishing that she was hyper aware of like the power dynamic right off the jump. Okay. And basically asked for a job immediately. She was the most famous person to ever show me that type of attention, and she immediately started love bombing me and making me feel like the most important person in her life. Within the first few weeks of us talking, she told me that she told her therapist about the positive impact I was making on her life, and that she had told her friends about me. She very quickly moved our conversation to Snapchat. All right. Love bombing, from what I'm aware, I believe it's usually almost always attributed to like manipulation tactics. It's like you just praise someone with love until you get what you want, and then you don't really care, I think. Okay, it's an attempt to influence a person by demonstrations of attention or affection. Fair enough. I mean, I think a lot of people do this, but anyway. I'm pretty familiar with you guys' content. I definitely wouldn't mind sitting in a circle, but surely you guys must be doing crazier stuff than that nowadays. Either way, thanks so much for keeping me in mind. Always feel free to reach out. Also, you get a lot of your hairline back on HRT. They don't tell you that when you get on it. That's so funny. Low-key just saying like, yo buddy, you're bald. Transition so you can fix that. She sent an image to Kris Tyson that they basically like blacked out. I don't know how the channel is ever going to top the Squid Games video. That was nuts. And yeah, you can add me on Snap. I'm blank on Snap. Okay, so we have the dates. So around November of 2022, okay, these two began, you know, properly, I guess, interpersonally interacting through Snapchat or whatever. What happens next? While I was under the impression that she was working on getting me in a video, we started having video chats on Discord. Okay, the one thing I'll say quickly is that this, in my head at least, this doesn't prove that they were trying to get you in a video, right? It was said, I will definitely keep you in mind. We do videos where we need people to compete, so if you're okay with it, it's basically, like, that's not saying I'm gonna get you in a video, but fair enough. I understand that, like, the kind of expectation was there. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or get a job. On one occasion, she asked me to join a video call and asked me to masturbate even though she knew I wasn't feeling well, which led me to joining her and then puking after a few minutes. Okay. Our conversations always leaned in the direction of affectionate and sexual, and she sent me a lot of sexually explicit Snapchats, messages, photos, and videos. Our relationship was very confusing to me, and I didn't fully realize I was being coerced at the time. Okay. So, from what I'm understanding, according to this woman, almost immediately through the Snapchat interactions, it became explicitly sexual. And they were apparently basically going along with it primarily with the idea of, like, I could be in a video, I could get a job, I can't fuck this up. If I don't reciprocate this sexual energy, I will lose those opportunities. She eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville with a one-way ticket while I was still under the impression that she would be getting me in a video with MrBeast. Okay. I'm really trying to understand how overt Chris was, or at the time Chris was, about this, because this is if this is the only proof that exists that that expectation was set, right? If this is literally the only proof, I will definitely keep you in mind. If that's it, that's nothing, really. That's not really anything. Now I'm kind of assuming that privately it was stated that this would happen and that he or she would make it happen, but I don't see any proof of that. So yeah. I don't know if this is just this person is operating off that initial TM, assuming that. Anyway, she eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville. The first night at her house, she told me to set up in her bedroom, as I would be sleeping in there with her. I thought that this was potentially the beginning of a relationship. Okay, so, alright, so this person is also actually interested in Ava, right? At the time, Chris. Clearly. Like, romantically, not just wanting the job, I am imagining now. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking her clothes off and asking me for oral sex. I went down on her, expecting to engage in sex that would be reciprocated, but when I was done, she made it clear that she did not want to return any sexual favors to me. I was hoping that would not be the case the next time we hooked up, and I believed we would be moving to something more mutual. Over the course of the next week, Ava engaged me sexually and ended up receiving oral pleasure several times, but she never reciprocated any sexual favors in return when I was done. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. Okay. There's a lot going on with this, and I want to be fully respectful, completely seriously. But this is like a strange way to frame it, right? Because what this is framing Ava as, basically, is a selfish lover, right? Like someone who, yes, wanted sexual favors, wanted their dick sucked, and you sucked their dick, and then you didn't ask for anything more, and they didn't reciprocate, right? So it's just a selfish lover. This is not, is this coercion? It really depends how heavily this, like, MrBeast thing was being held over your head, but now you're talking about wanting to actually enter a relationship, right? So I don't know when this turns into, okay, we'll keep reading. Okay. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. All right. The day she first posted publicly that she was on HRT was also the first week I was there. After making her post, Jimmy called her later that night while Ava was receiving oral sex from me. She answered the phone and had that conversation with Jimmy while I continued to perform oral on her. Talking to MrBeast, my good friend and colleague. while getting head. That's crazy. I was again now given access to very private information, which made me feel special. Something that happened consistently throughout our relationship. Okay, fuck, whatever. You're getting private access, private information to MrBeast's comments with Ava. And I guess that'll probably make you feel like you're a part of something, I guess. After almost a week, I was starting to feel really used and confused about everything. While I was there, I found out through conversation between Ava, myself, and her friend that she did not have the ability to cast anyone in a MrBeast video. Right. So she's saying within the first week of going to Ava's house, flying there, right, and giving them oral sex and all this, it was clear that basically Kris at the time did not have that swag. They didn't have that leverage, you know, to choose who's in a video. Which again seems kind of obvious based on the DM we read, but like if Ava was using all this as regular leverage, like you'll be in a video, don't worry, then yes, of course that's fucked up. But we don't necessarily have proof of that. We'll see though. All right, so she was starting to feel used and confused, and she found out that basically Ava did not have that swag. I eventually asked Ava to buy me a ticket home and flew home the next day. Leaving Ava's house was incredibly difficult to process emotionally after that week. I remember trying to hold myself together while traveling so that I wouldn't break down in public. Okay, so you went there for a week and you didn't like the experience pretty much. And I guess you did not get what you wanted out of it. They were sexual prior to her coming, so I guess that was probably expected. I don't know exactly what else was expected. Oh, right, the reciprocation probably, right. They probably did want a relationship with Ava. That makes sense. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably without fully understanding what happened to me. Ava and I remained in contact, but she did not show me the same level of attention and affection as she did before I spent a week with her. I understand feeling used, I guess, when that happens. This was the first time we went through a cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, and treating me like I'm an annoying, jealous ex, and then coming back when things don't work out. Shortly after that first week, she went on a work trip to Japan and invited someone else, but things did not turn out the way she expected. She was upset and flew back earlier from her trip, and she also offered me a job as her assistant and offered me to move in with her. I quit my job that month and moved in with her on June 16th and began working that day. I was supposed to start with a 2-week trial. Ava Tyson? Alright. Yes, he should be. Word, I'm just gonna message him when I'm boarding my flight. Thanks again for everything. I really, really appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you too, and look forward to working together with you. Okay, so for context, I don't know how old Muskina exactly it was or is, but now this is June of 2023. So this is like, I think this, okay, so I believe this is June of 2023 now, which means it's like 6 months later. So from when they first started DMing, this is now 6 months later, she's actually getting a job as Ava's assistant. All right. During this trial period and my employment, Ava continued to receive oral sex from me multiple times, and I started to feel like I was being coerced. Because I started feeling that way, I decided to try and avoid any physical engagement between Ava and I that could lead to more one-sided sexual acts. I took a short trip to my home state at the end of July and returned on July 28th. When I got back, I continued to do my best to avoid anything physically sexual between Ava and I. On July 29th, we were watching TV together alone in her room with no warning, prior physical engagement, or sexual conversation. She took off her pants and started touching herself in front of me. I had just moved in with Ava and left my job to come work as her assistant. In no way, shape, or form did I feel like I could say no without somehow risking my job or being asked to leave. She used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex. Okay. This was the moment that truly broke me for the first time. Nothing was enjoyable. It felt like it would never end, and my entire body just hurt from performing the act. It took me a few days to fully accept what had happened. Unfortunately, I was dealing with all of these emotions while on a work trip, traveling the country, and spending most of my time with people I had just met. The trip itself was very isolating as an employee, and there were several times where I broke down crying. I was on a 3-hour car trip to the airport with 3 people I had just met, and I spent the entire drive crying but trying to be as quiet as possible so that it didn't bother anyone. Okay, so I think this is the allegation, basically. So I'm just going to reread that real quick. So during this trial period, basically, where she was personal assistant, she was getting a job through, I guess, the MrBeast, conglomerate. Ava continued to receive oral sex from her multiple times and she started to feel like she was being coerced. And the coercion, I believe, is that she was her assistant and she was getting her dick sucked. Because I started feeling that way, I decided to try and avoid any physical engagement between Ava and I that could lead to more. So she's basically saying, like, I wanted to just test the waters with not engaging sexually. So, like, withholding, I'm assuming, like sexual withholding, more or less. I took a short trip to my home state at the end of July and returned on July 28th. When I got back, I continued to do my best to avoid anything physically sexual between Ava and I. I need to understand, I would love it if it was explained. What does that mean? What is you doing your best to avoid anything physically sexual, right? Because you're then saying that when they start touching themselves, without putting up any resistance, you engaged in non-consensual oral sex, right? Yeah, that's what I'm understanding. On July 29th, we were watching TV together alone in her room with no prior warning, physical engagement, or sexual conversation. She took off her pants and started touching herself in front of me. I had just moved in with Ava and left my job to come work as her assistant. In no way, shape, or form did I feel like I could say no without somehow risking my job or being asked to leave. She used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex. Okay. When you say she used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex, are you saying that Ava literally said,
do this, right? Do this now, or else?
Or are you saying that this, within your head, within your mental framework, you came to, I guess, a realization of like,
okay, they've chosen to masturbate right now. They're signaling that they're horny, obviously. I need to help them with this, or else they might fire me if they can't get this out of me.
Because that's very different in my head, right? This was the moment that truly broke me for the first time. Nothing was enjoyable. It felt like it would never end, and my entire body just hurt from performing the act. The lack of reciprocation is definitely, like, strange, right? I'm imagining, honestly, it's probably something along the lines of, because from what I'm understanding, Muskina is, I guess, male to female trans, right? If I had to guess, I don't know. Maybe, probably, Ava Tyson just does not want to suck dick or something. And obviously that's still selfish in this context. Like, clearly, like, if you're saying that they didn't give you any help, basically, that's weird. But it took me a few days to fully accept what had happened. Unfortunately, I was dealing with all these emotions while on a work trip, traveling the country and spending most of my time with people I had just met. The trip itself was very isolating as an employee, and there were several times where I broke down crying. I was on a 3-hour car trip to the airport with 3 people I had just met, and I spent the entire drive crying, but trying to be as quiet as possible so that I didn't bother anyone. I then had to wait and board for an overnight flight from Boston to Los Angeles. When I boarded the plane, I decided to send Ava a message on Telegram, sharing my concerns with her. I tried to do so carefully and navigate the conversation in a way that would stop me from being sexually assaulted again, but allow me to keep the job. Ava was very manipulative in her response and follow-up conversations we had in person once we had got to our hotels. Okay, this is the conversation. We will read this. So this is an example basically being cited of manipulation by Ava. This is Jess. Can we talk when we get to Cali? I've been put in a lot of uncomfortable situations and I haven't really felt comfortable bringing it up. I know we've hooked up in the past before I started working for you, but now I feel pressured and it just makes me feel really uncomfortable. The last few times it had happened left me feeling empty and used. I know that wasn't your intention, but it hurts to feel like I'm an object around the house that can just be used. All the misgendering, dead naming, and isolation I've experienced in this trip is kind of pushing me to a breaking point. I've been quietly staring at a corner and bawling my eyes out since we last left the house. And I just need something to change so I don't feel like this anymore. They just sent out the LA hotel info and my dead name is in parentheses next to mine. but yours isn't. So I don't get why mine is. Okay, so dead naming is in relation to basically the name that this person had before they transitioned. Obviously, that's upsetting to see, your dead name being what you're, made to identify as. We'll see, I guess, what the response is. So this is now the 3rd of August, 2023. Wait, if you're talking about the other day, and to be clear, this has been my feelings since we started a professional relationship alongside our friendship. I don't want anything sexual with each other. That's a dynamic that can be misconstrued and is unethical for me. I have a thing where I don't respect my body. Like today, the person told me he wanted to use my body, and I didn't want it at the time, but I didn't want him to be upset or mad with me, so I let him. Bro, what? Okay, what the fuck? Ava? What a response. Whoa. Okay, whoa. Alright. So immediate response is basically saying I got, like the Ava basically positioning it like they got pressured or coerced by someone else. Fair enough. Okay. That's what happened the other day. I guess I should have asked you to stop, but it just kind of happened, so I just let it. What's going on? The person told me he wanted to use my body, and I didn't want to at the time, but I didn't want him to be upset or mad with me, so I let him. That's what happened the other day. Oh, I see. Interesting. Okay, what Ava was saying was that basically that day, the day that this alleged assault occurred, it's being loosely hinted at here by Ava. It was basically stated by Jess, but in extremely vague terms, right? And Ava's response is basically saying they let Jess do whatever they wanted. You know what I mean? So it's almost like Ava didn't want to disappoint Jess, so they let Jess, finish. Ugh, okay, all right, this is complicated. I guess I should have asked you to stop, but it just kind of happened, so I just let it. Also, about the dead naming. I have no clue why it has happened, but I would love to talk to Blank with you about how to make it not happen again. I think you should also talk to Blank so he can reassure you that A, this is a hectic shoot, and they don't really know what they're doing, and with the PAs, they drop the ball constantly, and B, it happens to Blank a lot too. I'm sorry. If this isn't working for you though, I completely understand and we can rethink things and I can work with you to make sure you're happy. You are an important person to me. I want to be your friend, and if the work relationship causes stress to that, I'd rather just focus on our friendship. And then they say, I'd love to talk in person. About an hour later they say that. And then Jess responds, I definitely still want to work for you, and your friendship is really important to me too, so I don't want to lose that either. My emotions definitely just all added up and it hit me like a brick on the car ride here. And I just felt so embarrassed that I couldn't stop crying over it. Also, I don't mind it being hectic ever. It's the dead naming and misgendering that makes me feel like there's just little respect for me as a human. In terms of being openly sexual with my friends/colleagues, that's something I'm always down for. But the way our relationship has developed between each other sexually is incredibly one-sided, and it just makes me feel used and uncomfortable. That's not your fault though, it's just the way things develop between us, and I let that happen. I would really like to talk about this in person. Sorry I sent you that long message, and I love you. I love you too. I don't know if I'll sleep tonight, so come by when you're here. Okay, there's so much to unpack there. Oh my god, this is so much more of a rabbit hole than I expected. Okay. This is complicated. What I'm reading here is basically that Ava Tyson's basic claim, right, that the night that this alleged assault occurred, again, the allegation, just to be clear, is from this, Jess woman, Muskina. Okay, so Muskina's claim is they're avoiding sexual interactions with Ava because every time they did something like that, it was just one-sided, as in Ava would not, reciprocate, right? And so one night, Ava, I guess while lying down on the couch, just started masturbating. The claim basically from Muskina is that this was coercive because she started giving her oral sex, feeling like her job was on the line, feeling like if she didn't give her oral sex, that it was jeopardizing her job. And when lightly confronted about this, Ava's response was basically to say, I wasn't in the mood for oral. You gave me oral. And I didn't want to stop you from giving me oral because, you started, I guess. That's the read I'm getting. And so I went through with it even though I didn't necessarily want it. Okay. This kind of does go in line with what she was saying, which was basically she seemed to be indicating that this night giving Ava oral was like really taxing. It took a long time. They felt used. Their body ached. So that can make sense in that framework where it's like Ava might have literally just wanted to masturbate, I guess. I don't know. At the very least that they weren't, I guess, into it at that time. Bro, I don't know. This is a fucking weird. This is a weird one on Unpack. And then the thing that's so much more strange to me, right, is basically this is the opportunity, right, to be like, okay, sounds good, you know, we should stop the sexual stuff unless you basically reciprocate, right? So that's her saying, in terms of being openly sexual with friends, colleagues, that's something I'm always down for. But the way our relationship is developed between each other sexually is incredibly one-sided. So it's not the fact, basically, I guess, that they're sexual that's bothering her. It's basically just that it's one-sided and they feel used. We agreed to not have sex anymore if that's how I felt about what happened. And then for several months, we did not engage in explicitly sexual acts, but we did continue to engage in physically sexual acts such as cuddling, groping, hand-holding, and sleeping in the same bed. So it sounds to me like she's describing basically that, yeah, she, I guess, had this conversation with Ava, and Ava, I guess, was understanding more or less, right? And for several months, they didn't have explicitly sexual interactions, right? Like, they didn't lose their job just because they stopped initiating the explicitly sexual acts. Okay, and sexual conversations and texts. Okay. All right, this is Muskina sending, I'm assuming, some kind of sexy picture. This is, well, I want to tweet these. Thoughts? Ava responds, hot. God, so hot. So fucking worthy. Mommy even. Okay, thank you. I needed that confidence. Haha. Okay, bro, you got it. Do not clip that, bro, please. There's so many occupational hazards being a YouTuber, man. Anyway, one of them is just, you know, reading something like that out loud and just having it exist forever.
Shut up, Gokanaru. The real thing you should be advertising is our brand new Hubert NPCs. Did you enjoy the Sneeko video? Do you desire the love and companionship that comes with owning a Hubert of your own? Well, then you should head to gokamerch.com and sign up for the email list. It's easy. Just take a look at one of our satisfied customers.
You open it.
Oh! Oh, that's hard. A little butt! Wow, look at that smile. Making a friend has never been easier with our new Hubert NPCs. Sign up to the gokamerch.com email list today so that you'll be the first to be notified when Huberts go on sale. Only a limited quantity will be sold. So sign up. All right, back to the clip.
All right. Thank you. Yes, Mother Ava. You're so cute. And then a picture of Ava's leg. How about now? Okay, so it's literally just showing, like, okay, they reciprocating, like, you know, positive energy and pictures and stuff. For the next year, Ava towed the line with me between what was and wasn't an appropriate relationship with our power dynamic. These led to me having mixed feelings and receiving mixed signals from Ava on how she viewed me. She was able to manipulate me very easily with the power she had over me, which led to the cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out with multiple people. She was able to manipulate me very easily with the power she had over me. Okay, but it's confusing to me, right? Because this is all seeming like Muskina wants a relationship with Ava, and they want the job, of course, right? That makes total sense. I just need more examples of the, I guess, coercion or manipulation. We did eventually hook up one more time during a week in December in which I was super emotional because my cat of 12 years that I brought with me to North Carolina was dying of cancer. I was spending a lot of time with my cat that week and monitoring her breathing rate, and she seemed okay, and then she passed away in her sleep before I expected it. That's sad. Found her curled up in a corner, showing no signs of life. I realized what had happened and I sat down, picked her up in my arms and started crying uncontrollably. It was very late, around 1 a.m., and Ava heard me, so she came to check on me and realized what had happened. I was hysterical and couldn't really speak clearly or gather my thoughts properly. She stayed up with me for about 1 hour, at which point I told her that I was going to take my cat to the vet in the morning so that they could prepare her body for cremation. After an hour, Ava told me that she didn't know if I wanted her to stay or not, so she was going to go downstairs and go to sleep. I stayed alone with my cat until 7 a.m. and then took her to the vet by myself while I was still crying uncontrollably. This led to a lot of fights between Ava and I that week, in which she continued to gaslight and manipulate me into thinking I was the problem and it was my fault that I was feeling used. Okay, dude, this one, I don't understand why the fuck this is in here. I don't fully understand. There is a power dynamic at play here, 100%. Thing is, okay, there's always a power dynamic at play in life. I totally get what she's saying. The whole employment and kind of dating, but clearly like kind of one-way sexual relationship. This is a dynamic that is obviously advantageous to Ava, 100%. And you could totally, this could absolutely get abused, right? I just need more proof of it getting abused, right? And I'm not seeing that really, right? I really just am not. I just want more examples, and we might have more. I'm just hoping the receipts are there, right? But yeah, I mean, yeah, this isn't obviously appropriate shit for anybody working at MrBeast, but when it comes to actual sexual, right? Like that's the claim. I just want more evidence, basically. And then bringing up the cat, right? And then Ava comes and spends an hour with you, and then they basically say, I don't know if you want me here, and then they go to bed. It's like, okay, they could just be selfish and not want to, be with you while you're just basically more or less having a horrible night, right? Or they could just actually feel like they can't console you, right? But I'm guessing it was brought up because this caused a bunch of fights between them, basically, because, they weren't there for you when the cat was dead. Whenever I became emotional or had an issue with how Ava was treating me, it was always turned around on me, and I was made to believe that if I didn't stop acting that way, or prove that I was okay with everything, that I should move out and not be her assistant anymore. Okay, yeah, that's bad. I would fucking agree, that's bad. I'm assuming these are conversations that happen in person, so I guess it is allegedly, but... This cycle kept happening until Easter 2024, when Ava traveled with me to spend Easter with my family. We then spent a weekend together in Boston in a hotel while I showed her around the city. At this point, we were very, very close emotionally, and I told Ava how I was feeling about us and that I wanted to have a conversation about us. I told her that it already felt like we were in a relationship, and she agreed. I told her that the feelings I had for her were like that of a partner, and she said she felt the same way about me. She told me that traveling with me for Easter did something for her, and I believed we had something special moving forward. Okay, so see, it does get complicated because now literally it is evolving into a relationship. A few days after Easter, she had planned to travel to LA to visit a friend that she was talking to and interested in sexually. I told her this wasn't a problem for me, and that what I wanted for us was an open relationship anyways. Okay. Sorry, so Ava is going to LA to visit a friend, basically who they want to have sex with or something like that. Okay. Muskina responds by saying, that's no problem. I want an open relationship anyways. She wasn't ready to officially call us partners at this point, but she assured me that this person wasn't looking for anything serious, and she didn't even know if they were going to hook up. She ended up hooking up with this person on the first night and was calling them her boyfriend by the end of the week. And they were officially in a relationship. Gotcha. Muskina, it's sounding like you're definitely getting the shit end of the stick, but like that's kind of an open relationship moment. I had a huge problem with the way all of this played out, and I wanted some clarification from Ava on what she and I were. This led to a lot of fights, which led to me moving out in the beginning of June because of how bad my mental health was with everything going on between us. Okay. I mean, I totally get how this would cause fights. Like, you want to be from what I'm getting, you want to be in a monogamous relationship, right? With Ava. Or at the very least, I guess you want to be, the main partner, right? Like, this is my girlfriend type thing. I get that completely. But clearly, Ava is just like, they're looking for basically, like someone who is not you, which is sad, right? So this is Muskina messaging Ava. This is April 14th of 2024 now. So they've been talking for longer than a year. They've kind of been seeing each other for almost a year. And Mooski says to Ava, get off the phone with your boyfriend. Nerd, you're coming over next week, right? I remember when I used to be important to you. Sad face. 2 weeks ago. Okay, so Mooski's basically being a little bit passive aggressive. And then Ava, you're not unimportant to me? I wish you wouldn't say things like that to me. It makes me insecure. Interesting. I'm not trying to make you insecure, but sometimes I get insecure and feel that way myself. You become more distant, and I get treated differently every time you fall for someone new. And that's really hard for me to deal with, based on the nature of our relationship, and considering I gave up everything to move down with you and be your BF/assistant. This is such a open relationship moment. Okay, I'm just going to take a second to have a tangent. And I understand that this is not all open relationships, and you could probably interpret this one as having extraneous, like way worse variables, given the fact there is obviously the employment dynamic, right? It's not just, I get it. There's not just, oh, this person's famous. It's not just, oh, this person's wealthy. It's also, this person is literally housing me and they're the reason I'm making money, right? Now, this absolutely is a situation that can be so easily exploited by Ava, okay? And the dynamic is, I would agree that it's kind of fucked up. It's nefarious. Thing is, there's so many people who this is like a scenario, right? Like, I mean, think about it, right? Like husband wife combos where the wife stays at home and the man works or whatever, right? Like, or a small business context where it's like, oh, the wife is the assistant, she does like the paperwork or whatever, and the man goes and fucking does the business and bullshit. Like, this isn't a fucking like insane circumstance. It's not good though, and it's absolutely a liability to the MrBeast brand. You do not want to be fucking, ideally in my head at least, whatever. Yes, Ava has way too much leverage over this individual. And what is being experienced, especially again with the open relationship dynamic, right, is it's the classic situation with open relationships, okay? One partner has more swag, one partner has more fame, more options, okay? One partner has more options and the other partner does not. And what does that mean? It means that one partner exploits or uses or takes advantage of those fucking options, and the other partner is sad about it, right? That makes total sense, because guess what? We are human, right? All of us, unfortunately. And for the vast majority of people, even the ones who are in open relationships a lot of the time, if you are actually in love with someone and you want to do anything to be with them, an open relationship can be a situation where one person wants it to be open, really, okay? And another person technically really truly wants it to be monogamous because they actually like really deeply love this person and, you know, want this person to be their only option, you know? But since this person really wants to be in the relationship, they basically will compromise and be like, sure, open relationship's totally fine. No issues with that, right? There's issues with that because the person who, you know, is dominant in the relationship uses their options or whatever. They go and they interact with other people, right? And of course, the person who has the abundance, right, the options, they just exercise them. And the person who has scarce options, right, like not fucking much going on, right, and who probably is more in love with the other person, of course they're gonna fucking feel slighted, dude. Of course they're gonna feel like, damn, this sucks, bro. Is that abusive? Alone? No. It's sad. It's not something I would ever say is like a fucking ideal relationship at all. But alone, that's not abusive, right? Again, agreeing to the open relationship, this is what that means. Like, they're gonna go and, you know, be around other people, right? But anyway, obviously, again, you know, the employment angle is really the, you know, questionable angle here. It's a lot to deal with emotionally, but I also get insecure that you'll become so enamored with your new partner that you'll start looking for ways to get rid of me so that you can spend all your time with them. I think you're insecure about this because of the blank thing, because I've texted and called as much as I can. I played Elden Ring yesterday and spent the day with Chief and then did therapy, so I didn't look at my phone that much. I didn't even start talking to him until after my therapy appointment. He was asleep. It's super frustrating how every time I try to be happy, I have to be careful not to be too happy or you'll start to say stuff like this. It almost feels like you're the one pushing me away because of your own feelings. Because I've not changed how I treat you at all. I don't know how to handle this situation. I legit now have anxiety that I didn't text whichever app you messaged me on, and you'll get mad at me. The anxiety I feel about this situation reminds me of whenever blank would get mad at me while I was at work and say I was choosing work over her. I imagine that blanked out thing is probably Ava's ex-wife. I'm not choosing anything over you. You're my friend, and I just wish you could be happy for me after everything I've done for you. Okay. That's a little bit of that. Look at what I've done for you. That could definitely be interpreted as a subtle little, hey, look at what I've done for you, bitch. Not even just the monetary stuff. Oh, there we go. Okay, so there's monetary. I've held you while you cried, went with you to meet your family. Like, I didn't need to do any of that for any reason other than it meant a lot to you. I don't know. To be honest, if you would have just acted like nothing changed, I would have loved for you to be around, but I genuinely don't think it's a good idea for you to be around blank now. I'm assuming that's the boyfriend, like the new guy that, you know, Mr. Steal Your Girl, Muskina basically, you know, lost to. I don't know where to go from here because I understand you may feel this way, but I've gone out of my way to try and make you feel included, so I'm genuinely at a loss for what to do. I mean, this is tough a little bit because, like, it does seem, right? Like, Ava more or less kind of was leaning toward starting a relationship with this person, right? Like, yeah, visiting their family. Yeah, like, you know, not doing anything sexual or explicitly sexual. There's a degree of sincerity I kind of am getting from Ava here. But yeah, no, the monetary stuff is it's hard to overlook that. Muskina says, it's not that you're too happy or that I'm not happy for you. It's not about not replying to my messages you don't see. I don't want to push you away, but I did want to make sure that you understood my feelings and what I'm going through emotionally, because it hasn't been easy for me. And I've been so full of anxiety. Part of it is the blank thing and having some trauma from that. But I think it's more I have such strong feelings for you, which creates needs. Usually those needs are met and they go beyond just being included. It hurts to feel like that's something I'm consistently given and then taken away, and it's painful. It hurts to feel like that's something I'm consistently given and then taken away, and it's painful. It made me so happy that you were able to be there for me in times when I cried and came to visit my family. But I thought you did those things because you wanted to, and that's just what friends do. I really thought we were something more than friends, and I'm trying to find a way to deal with that. I love you so much, but I don't want you to think that you can't bring me around people like blank now, because I honestly like him, but I'm just scared of losing whatever it is we have. Yeah, I mean, literal open relationship moment. She's threatened by the person that their partner's seeing, you know what I mean? I don't really know what to do or where to go from here either. I just know I care about you a whole lot. I know the way I'm acting is me taking a huge risk, but I couldn't just let my feelings fester while I sit here and recover. I've also spent countless nights staying up with you to make sure you're okay, and have held you in my arms while you cried and bled all over me. And all the times I put myself in uncomfortable situations to be there for you, and I try to make sure you know that the money means nothing to me compared to your friendship by buying my share of food for us and gifts. It's really hard to just move on from all that stuff in such a short span. Like, I get we will meet other people and move on and play different roles in each other's lives at some point. It just hurts a lot to feel like it's going to happen so fast. If you want to call and talk, that's fine. If you want to take some space and talk when I get back, that's fine too. Don't feel any pressure to call. I've thought about it and I realized I'm the one who just needs to take some space and process. You've done nothing wrong and been an amazing friend, and I'm so sorry that I made you feel any differently. What? Okay. I'll still message you for schedule and work stuff, that's fine. But I think taking a break from the emotional stuff for me and just letting you be happy with blank without worrying about me is what's best. Okay. I guess they just pretty much aired their honest grievances, right? They aired their honest grievances by 9 p.m. 3 hours later, they didn't get a response, and they basically said, don't feel pressured, you know, I thought about it, and we need to take some space. You're a great person, great friend. You've done so much for me. I'm sorry about that. I'll still do the work that I'm employed to do, basically. And I totally get how this is such a fucking balancing act for this woman. This is tough, man. This sucks. I get it. But at the same time, it's like, you need to advocate for yourself, right? You really, truly do need to advocate for yourself. And clearly this person is aware of this fact, right? Because they've said now twice, basically, that I've failed to kind of, you know, establish these boundaries with you and to, like, you know, make these things known. And then the second that she does it, right, she backtracks 3 hours later. And now you're saying also that it's not necessarily about the money, that you're not with them, working with them for the money and stuff. But of course that's a variable. Of course that's a variable. But you clearly also actually want a relationship, are more or less probably in love with this person, right? I mean, Ava's not cheating on you, right? Because it's open, the relationship, whatever you have going on. I don't know, it's confusing. Ugh. That crazy moment when you're reading accusations and you just realize, like, you're just learning way too much about two humans. Whatever. When I moved out, we had an agreement that I would keep my job as a hybrid travel / remote / WFH position, work from home. When I reached out to Ava after moving out to discuss my schedule for the rest of the month, she informed me that she was already working on replacing me. I'll be on the road, so feel free to call if there's anything else you want to have done or just want to talk. I know we didn't get to talk too much about me moving out, so if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. This is obviously Muskina to Ava. I'm planning on flying back on June 16th and staying there until July 2nd, if that's cool with you. I was planning on spending at least half a month in North Carolina, working and helping you out moving forward, but also do scheduling, managing, paying bills, etc. while I'm in Massachusetts. Ava responds, I'm probably going to let blank continue working with me until I can get the divorce settled. And then I'm going to try and look into getting an executive assistant who can be here with me and focuses solely on improving my mental health. Creating channels to make getting back into work easier and more streamlined, and connecting with the people at Beast by being on location to make sure I'm getting things on the schedule when they happen. I want to help you, but the company isn't going to let me have 2 EAs, I'm assuming assistant, and I need someone to be accountable for me. And I know you have your stuff. We can talk about it more when I get back. So yeah, I mean, yeah, soft firing. That's fine. So should I not book the flight to come back? I just want to clarify, is this me being let go, or if I'm being changed to a different position so I can plan accordingly? I completely understand your reasoning, by the way. I need to be able to focus on my own mental health, so I can't focus on someone else's as my job. It just isn't healthy for me. I think you deserve someone who will feel more comfortable working with the company. And then they respond, I think if Boston is where you feel like you're going to be mentally the most healthy, I want that for you. But I'm about to get back into the channel, and I need someone to steer me in the right direction. I took this as kind of you resigning. This isn't really a mobile position. I'm going to talk to James about getting everything done properly. I don't want you to feel like I'm firing you, because I really took the abrupt move as you resigning. Yeah, I mean, what a mess. Holy fuck. It's just a mess. No, I don't feel like you're firing me, and I'm okay with moving away from the position. I clearly was uncomfortable after everything that had happened between us over the course of the last year. I definitely wish some things were handled differently, but it is what it is. I do genuinely feel like my ability to do my job was being affected, so it's nice to be out of that situation. I did expect to keep the job because we had talked in person when we were both there last week. I thought we had agreed that me moving to Boston at some point and splitting my time between there and North Carolina would be okay, and I could keep the job. So I hope we can work something out where I can move away from the job comfortably. June 8th and then so the next day, she's like, hey, can you let me know if/when someone will reach out to me about my current status as an employee? Because I have to update my income with Massachusetts properly to avoid any loss of coverage. Gotcha. She consents Basically, I'm out. I felt forced out of my position and made it clear to her that I wasn't comfortable with the way things went down, but she didn't answer any of my concerns. I kept in contact with her and remained friendly while I navigated my departure from the company. She told me she was keeping the company updated and that someone would talk to me about my severance and leaving the company in June. When this didn't happen, I asked Ava for another update on my employment. I was eventually given the correct contact information for HR. This is Muskina. Hey, I hope you didn't take my messages the wrong way. I didn't expect to lose this job when I moved, so I'm in a bit of a financial pickle. I need to find out my employment status as listed with the company, and when I'll get my last paycheck as soon as I can. My health insurance is due soon, and I'll have to update my income after my last paycheck to avoid any loss of coverage. I already have a good job lined up, blank, but I was going to see if I could get any financial help until I'm able to start that job. Also, I was planning on taking care of my car when I came back, so I have to get that taken care of. Okay, so that's the next day. Ava says, you're still employed, and I haven't even talked to anyone about it yet, but I'll keep you up to date on the process. Sorry, I was just trying to put anything aside that would stress me until I got back from this trip. They said, that's fair, I hope you enjoyed your trip. And then the next day, hey, do you still want me to take care of stuff for you for now? I just wasn't sure because I keep seeing stuff in the group chat and I'm not sure if you're expecting me to help or not. I'm happy to continue to help with whatever you need, but I didn't want to overstep either. It's just where I'm used to sending things by default. Between us, James is going to use company leverage to get me someone who can basically pick my life up and help me get it back moving. Jesus Christ. This person is quite a liability, dude. Until I begin the process, you will be on pay, and I will discuss with James making sure you're taken care of, and since it's to help with your mental health, I'm going to push for them to give you severance. Also, if you find any companies in the area you think we can get you a referral to, the MrBeast thingy works great. Also, I want you to come visit me often, because I love you, Jess. You will always be my sister. She got sister zoned. She got fucking sister zoned, dude. It wasn't until... No, I'm just kidding. This is the moment. No. So this is 11th of June. They seem to be on good terms, more or less, pretty much, yeah. Jess says, hey, so I'm working with blank to get my car started and sold, but it's pretty clear that it's going to take a few weeks. That puts me in a hard spot because I really need a vehicle with my current living situation, or I need to move out, and I'm also not sure what the details are for any severance or when my last paycheck will be, which makes it very difficult to move forward with purchasing a vehicle or moving out. I didn't know if you'd maybe be interested in purchasing my car, so I can give you the title and we just have, someone sell it, making the process much faster and easier for me. I was planning on selling the car for around $3,000 since I paid $5,000 for it. I understand if you don't want to do this. Sheesh. Also, I was hoping to get some clear information in writing from someone of what my severance will be and when I'll be getting it, because that money would help me greatly in my current situation. I don't know when this message is exactly dated, but it's probably that 11th of June message. Then the 2nd of July, have they not contacted you yet? Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything from anyone. I'm pretty sure they haven't said anything to E either. Cool. Then the 3rd of June. Okay, I'll talk to blank. Is her email blank? I just wanted to look out for her email, or just reach out so she has my best contact information. That's interesting. The asking to buy a car for $3,000, basically, that, Ava Tyson more than likely did not need. That's basically like a subtle wink and a nod, like, yo, help me out, please. Right? Like, please? You know what I mean? Why is this person saying this? The fuck is this? Who the fuck are you? Oh, right. Anyone can have a fucking check mark now. Shitposter having mild relapse. Opinions are all fake and made up. Go fuck yourself. 18 plus? I have no idea. Before I talked to HR, Ava found out that I had talked about her sexually assaulting me, and that I was planning on reporting her. Her reply was to send one message and then block me on everything. June 11th, and then nothing kind of happens for basically 20-ish days. And then behind the scenes, Muskina was telling HR that they were sexually assaulted by Ava. Yes, let's send her a message. This is July 4th. Wait, no, it's blank. Whoops. And then July 5th, she misunderstood me when I told her to hold off on blank. She should be contacting you. Sorry for the hold up. Gotcha. So she probably got... Okay, so I'm imagining this is like she got HR contact right here. And then as soon as she was talking to the HR, she mentions the sexual assault. And then the final message is, wow, Jess. And then blocked on everything. Should have bought a car, sis. I learned that Ava told them I had decided to resign on my own free will, and the first they heard of me leaving was that first week of July. I informed them what was actually going on with my resignation, and it became pretty clear that Ava had not been forthcoming with them about anything that transpired between us during the course of my employment. Okay. Sorry. Did you expect Ava Tyson to tell HR actively that they were receiving oral or like in a relationship with a employee or their assistant? I don't imagine she would have told them that. A few days later, I told them enough about what happened between Ava and I, which led MrBeast to launch a third-party investigation into the matter. So basically the claim here is that there's a third-party investigation occurring, which was announced by MrBeast in his statement about, Ava. Over the past few days, I've become aware of the serious allegations of Ava Tyson's behavior online, and I am disgusted and opposed to such unacceptable acts. During that time, I have been focused on hiring an independent third party to conduct a thorough investigation to ensure I have all the facts. That said, I've seen enough online and taken immediate action to remove Ava from the company, my channel, and any association with MrBeast. I do not condone or support any of the inappropriate actions. I will allow the independent investigators the necessary time to conduct a comprehensive investigation and will take any further actions based on their findings. Yeah, I mean, knowing this, right, like, knowing that basically Ava Tyson was totally mixing work with sex. It's not like, oh, they hired this person professionally and then they, like, fell in love just working together, whatever. It's like, no. The sex and the job, absolutely, these things were totally intertwined, right? Like, this was a very complicated situation, absolutely a liability, so I totally get it, right? This is not just MrBeast opportunistically fucking pushing his friend out of the way because an inconvenience. It's like, no, this person is a threat not just to the brand, okay, but to the employees, you know what I mean? Potentially, right? Like, at least this woman, right? Like, I get it. It makes sense. I'm not fully understanding, I think, the sexual assault. I don't know that is sexual assault, okay? But, yeah, I get the power dynamic shit. She's basically claiming that she is more or less the reason that the third-party investigation actually initiated, which is interesting. Muskina says, I provided them with evidence of chat logs, screenshots, and gave them a list of witnesses in the company who had seen Ava and I being physical together. That was over 2 weeks ago, and in that time I have not heard back anything despite asking for an update twice. Okay, Muskina. These things probably actually do take time. It's a developing story, ma'am. During this time period, the allegations against Ava for inappropriately talking to minors and more details of her relationship with Shadman became public. Seeing all of this come out and happen has put me in a uniquely uncomfortable position. I knew she had a troubled past, but I thought it never went past attack helicopter jokes and liking an edgy artist. I wasn't super online when Shadman was popular, so I knew very little about him and did not know Ava was associated with someone who sold drawings of CP. It was already extremely difficult to navigate moving on from being sexually assaulted and being taken advantage of by someone I cared about who had an immense amount of power over me. Seeing everything this week has been extremely stressful, and it has been equally difficult to see people respond in bad faith with transphobia, as it has been to see people blindly defend Ava and disregard evidence because she is transgender. And I feel like the only way for me to move forward with my life is to talk publicly about what happened. I don't want hush money and I don't want clout. I just want to be able to move on with my life and close this chapter. Okay. I don't want any smoke to befall this woman at all. I am still, like, in my head, there's no proof, right? Not even through what she's necessarily saying that a sexual assault occurred, okay? Manipulation, I understand. Exploiting a power dynamic, I get that too. But yeah, to me as well, it's like, okay, did you discuss the sexual assault as a sexual assault? while you were in the relationship. I imagine if you did via text, we would see that, but it's sounding like, based on everything that you've said, you never even mentioned this event as a sexual assault in the relationship. And once again, you describe it as you basically choosing, because it's technically still your choice. I understand that you felt coerced, but like, it's technically still your choice. You described that Ava was masturbating, so they're taking care of themselves, I guess. And you chose to give them oral, basically expecting, the relationship to kind of hinge on that, right? That's what I'm interpreting. I could be just interpreting it, I guess, incorrectly, but that is what is indicated, at least what I can see. And so with all those variables, right, assuming that this was only brought up as I was sexually assaulted by Ava after basically being fired, after you are in dire straits, when you're talking to HR, I could totally understand how, Ava was blindsided or whatever, right? Some people might say, well, Ava had the power. They should have, registered all this. But it's like, okay, but Muskina was also hyper aware of the fucking, the power, I guess. And she was actively suppressing so regularly, so clearly suppressing her true thoughts, her concerns, right? Like, and her desires even, right? Like the desire to have, intimacy or sexual, whatever you would say, favors. I don't know. Basically, the desire for that to be reciprocated, right? And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this, more than the essay, the allegation, this does elucidate that, yes, like Ava Tyson should not be working with MrBeast. That's just facts. Irregardless of all the other, things that we see, right? Which I haven't even fully explored, whether it be the leaked Discord messages, the other people who've come out again. Just based on this already, clearly, this person should not be working, at the company. I would agree, okay? But, yeah, to call them a rapist off of this, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm sorry, Muskina. Thank you for watching. And please, especially if you enter a relationship where you're aware of the power dynamics, like this case, please advocate for yourself. Vouch for yourself, right? Don't allow yourself to be walked all over, right? Anyway, I know that's easier said than done, but... Okay, that's it. Goodbye.